My name is Mary Halvorson. I'm a guitarist, and I'm going to talk a little bit about an interval exercise that I came up with for the guitar. This is an exercise that'll help you learn the guitar neck and become more fluid with it while simultaneously getting out of patterns. You know, guitar is a very pattern-oriented instrument, so when we're learning our scales, our arpeggios, your hands tend to fall in certain patterns. So in addition to this exercise being a good way to get out of those patterns, it's also a good way to get to know the guitar neck better and a good way to do ear training. So in this exercise, each interval becomes essentially its own mode. So I'm going to take the tritone as an example. I'm going to play tritones across the neck in fourths. So for each tritone I played, I went up to the next string on the guitar. The other way to play a tritone is to skip a string and move your hand back. So this would be the second method. Once you've absorbed this exercise, you should be able to put your finger anywhere on the guitar and be able to play a tritone up in a couple different ways, and a tritone down in a couple different ways. And then the next thing you can do is stack tritones. And there's many different ways you could play this on the guitar with a combination of moving up a string and also skipping a string. So really playing around with all the ways you can play a tritone, really getting the sound of that tritone in your ear. And I talked a little bit before about depth, but when you're doing this exercise, don't spend 5 minutes on it, maybe spend a couple hours on it. Really absorb the sound. And then you can try doing a little improvisation using a lot of tritones. So that might sound something like this. So if I do that same exercise with, let's say, a minor sixth, it's a completely different sound. And if you do an improvisation with the minor sixth, also completely different. So what I recommend is going through doing this exercise with all the intervals, starting with a minor second, going all the way up to as far as you want, a major 10th, 11th, anything. And once you get into the wider intervals, this also becomes a really good technique picking exercise. Another exercise that's great to try on guitar, and again, this is because guitar is such a pattern-oriented instrument, it becomes very easy to memorize a pattern and kind of slide it up and down the neck, you know, etc. So a great exercise is to take anything you want. It could be a standard tune, a melody of a standard tune, a scale, any kind of a phrase, an arpeggio, and try to play that phrase through the cycle of fourths in the same position on the guitar. So you're relying on hearing the fragment of the melody based on the intervals, not based on any kind of pattern that you've memorized. So I'll give an example of this. Let's take the beginning of Stella by Starlight. So then I'm going to take it up a fourth without moving my hand out of the fifth position on guitar. And then I'm going to go again. I'll do one more. So I love exercises that accomplish many things at once. So for me, this is a great way to learn the guitar neck, to work on technique, and to get your fingers out of pre-existing patterns and to do ear training.